Experience miraculous rest, divine 40-day sleep meditation for supernatural peace and healing. In the quaint village of Haverly Green, a divine promise echoed through the hearts of those weary with sorrow. Mary, a devoted mother and grieving widow, beckoned villagers into the candlelit embrace of St. Andrew's Church, seeking a restorative peace once promised to her by her late husband. As the sun dipped beneath the rolling hills, the warm, amber glow of flickering candles illuminated weary faces. Each flicker brought with it a whisper of hope, a promise of healing more profound than any had previously dared to imagine. With shared prayers, the community began a journey steeped in faith, a 40-day sleep meditation designed to awaken the slumbering spirit. Words like comfort and restoration danced on their lips as they reclined on prayer pillows, hearts entwined in anticipation. Each night, they recited verses, their voices blending, creating a melody that echoed through the stone walls, the sound resembling angels weaving through the cool night air. Yet, darkness crept close, shadows huddling at the edges of their fragile faith. Just when Mary felt the stirrings of hope, her youngest child was beset by a dreadful fever. Each night, worry coiled tightly in her chest as she listened to the soft whimpers of her child. Her bank account dwindled alarmingly, and anxiety wrapped its tendrils around her heart like cold iron. Hours slipped away in restless prayer, with God seemingly silent in her grief. The depths of despair loomed large, tempting her to abandon the faithful quest for solace she sought alongside the village. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As the weeks rolled on, Mary forced her heart to listen to the stories of her neighbors. One after another, voices rose in testimony, tales of miraculous interventions flowed like the village river after a storm. I felt the warmth of an angel's wing, an elderly woman asserted, wiping tears of sheer gratitude. He guided me through the darkest hour. Their collective belief began to chip away at her doubt, igniting a flickering flame within her spirit. On a night thick with tension, she knelt on the cool stone floor, heart aching. She cried aloud, pouring her fear before God. Just then, a palpable warmth blossomed around her, surrounding her like a tender embrace. It was as if the very air shimmered with divine presence. Mary's heart raced. Could she dare believe? As hope unfurled its delicate wings, she felt something shift. The stillness was no longer a silence but a rapt promise of coming light. And just as the clock struck midnight, a rustle passed through the room, a sigh of relief. In her prayerful state, she felt a longing swell within her. The air itself was charged with faith, a divine connection she hadn't felt in years. That moment would ripple far beyond her home, beckoning the village toward an awakening they couldn't yet comprehend. What awaited them on the horizon as the dawn broke? What further miracles would emerge from the depths of dark silence? Mary and her children were set on a path where doubt braided with belief, poised on the brink of an unforeseen transformation. The community stood together, hearts yearning for clarity in the midst of divine mystery, ready for whatever came next. As the village of Haverly Green settled into the night, the air thickened with anticipation. With every sunrise, the promise of healing felt closer, yet doubts lingered like shadows in the corners of the villagers' minds. Mary, overwhelmed but determined, gathered her children around her small table that served as their sanctuary. Candles flickered, casting soft glows on their faces, outlining their hopes and fears. "Tonight, we will invite the angels to guide us," Mary whispered, her voice trembling yet resolute. The children, sensing her spirit, nodded eagerly, their innocence shielding them from the full weight of her burdens. As they clasped their hands together, Mary led them in prayer, filling their hearts with the sweet nectar of faith. Meanwhile, the village breathed as one, echoing with chants of hope beyond the silence. Neighbors poured into St. Andrew's Church, where Mary had kindled a movement fueled by shared suffering and desire for divine solace. Laughter mingled with tears as hearts united in purpose, harmonizing in the warmth of their collective prayers. The church became a haven, a sacred womb nurturing their hopes. Through sharing their stories, they wove a tight tapestry of strength. An old man recounted the day he was spared from despair, a mother spoke of her daughter's return from afar, heartwarming tales that threaded their faith into an unbreakable bond. Their words transported Mary back to the warmth of her husband's love, a soaring reminder of what faith could do when united. Yet, as the days passed, Mary felt the heaviness of doubt squeezing at the edges of her spirit. The recurring fever in her child would not subside. It gnawed at her resolve like a persistent storm, reminding her of her fears. Each time she tried to cling to hope, the churning waves of worry pulled her back into despair. One evening, after the children were asleep, Mary found herself alone in the church. The flickering candles danced about, casting playful shadows that felt almost mocking. She knelt, feeling the cool stone beneath her knees, a stark contrast to the warmth she longed for in her heart. "Lord," she cried out, "do not leave us in this darkness. Bolster our faith. I need my child well." As her voice echoed in the empty church, an unexpected calm washed over her. The stillness wrapped around her like a comforting quilt, and then it happened. A gentle rustle stirred in the air, a whisper threading through the silence. "Mary," it called softly, as if the very walls breathed life into her trembling spirit. Her heart quickened as she sensed a glimmer of light piercing the veil of her troubled thoughts. "Is that you, Lord?" she whispered, almost afraid to hope. Just beyond the realm of sight, she felt an otherworldly presence, a compelling warmth flooding her very core, saturating her being with an undeniable peace. "Trust in the unseen," the voice seemed to echo within her, urging her to embrace the mystery of faith. Mary inhaled deeply, allowing the invitation to awaken something profound within her, a stirring hope that surpassed reason. With newfound strength, she envisioned her child thriving again, laughter echoing through her home, a future painted with joy. "What miracle awaits us, Lord?" she murmured, the question lingering as dawn approached. The village, too, held its breath, waiting for something magnificent to unfold. As they moved closer to the culmination of their journey, a divine mystery hovered on the horizon. What awaited them next? What would the dawn reveal? As dawn finally broke over Haverly Green, the golden light poured into the village, washing over rooftops and whispering life into the fields. A sense of expectation hung in the air, electric yet serene, as villagers ventured out of their homes. Each face was lit with a spark of hope, ignited by the previous night's unity and Mary's heartfelt prayer. Mary stood at the window of her small cottage, the curtains fluttering gently in the breeze, mirroring her anxious heart. She watched her children stir in their sleep, blissfully unaware of the weighty world outside their dreams. The warmth of the sun caressed her cheek, and for a moment, she closed her eyes, inviting the gentle light to fill the dark spaces of her spirit. "Lord," she breathed, feeling the energy of the village outside, "let this be the day of miracles." At that very moment, a soft knock echoed at the door, startling her from her reverie. Rushing to open it, she found Ruth, her neighbor and dear friend. Ruth's eyes sparkled with morning dew, her smile illuminated by the hopeful light of day. "Mary, come quickly. You won't believe what's happening." Curiosity surged within Mary as she followed Ruth down the path, her heart racing in sync with the rhythm of the village gathering. As they approached St. Andrew's Church, an unusual sight filled the square. People were kneeling, hands clasped, their faces turned towards the sky as if absorbing the very essence of the morning light. "What is it?" Mary asked, her heart pounding as she sensed something extraordinary unfolding. "Come and see," Ruth urged, leading her through the gathering crowd. As they reached the front of the church, Mary's breath hitched in her throat. There, on the wooden steps, stood the village priest, but he appeared transformed, bathed in brilliant light. His voice soared above the murmurs, resonating like a symphony of hope. "Beloved, today, we gather not just to pray but to witness. The whispers of angels are alive this morning. Our faith has caught the breeze of God's grace." Exclamations rippled through the crowd like wave upon wave. Hearts that had felt heavy with doubt now soared in unison. "We are called to lay hands on one another," he continued, "to share the balm of healing." Mary's heart raced. She glanced back at her children, still safely tucked within their home, and wondered. Should she join this divine dance? As if sensing her thoughts, the priest turned, locking eyes with her. In that moment, she felt an unbreakable connection, a gentle tug towards something greater. "Trust in his goodness," the priest declared, his voice echoing in her mind. "The miracle is not distant, it is here." With a swelling heart, Mary stepped forward. Could this truly be the moment of hope and healing she had dreamt of? Surrounding her were villagers, individuals united in faith yet unique in their burdens. Each one represented a prayer waiting to be answered. As Mary joined the circle of hands reaching towards the heavens, a stirring began deep within her spirit. The air thickened with an unearthly energy, radiant and alive. Time felt suspended as she absorbed the praise of her neighbors, their voices intertwined in submission and gratitude. Just as she began to question if this unity could really alter their destinies, she sensed a felt presence of something divine moving amongst them, stirring hearts, igniting fires of hope. "What awaits us, Lord?" She prayed silently, entrusting the moment to the unseen. As she opened her eyes, a light flickered in the distance, so vibrant and warm that it seemed almost tangible, hinting at the manifestation of something beyond comprehension. What heavenly treasures did this day hold? What divine surprises were to be unveiled in the continuing flow of faith? The village was poised on the edge of revelation, ready to discover the miracles promised by a God who always answers prayers. The village square radiated a palpable energy, drawing closer together those who had come from far and wide. Mary felt the warmth of their collective faith enveloping her like a soft blanket, comforting yet powerful. Glancing around, she saw familiar faces etched with anticipation and urgency. Old Mr. Walter, with his weathered hands clasped tightly, prayed fervently. Young children, too, were present, their innocent eyes wide with wonder as they absorbed the sacred atmosphere. As the priest continued, his voice infused with passion, the words danced in the air like music. "Lift your prayers high. For every sorrow, release your burdens. Place your hope in God, and let us be instruments of His love among one another." Each proclamation wove deeper into Mary's heart. Suddenly, an unexpected hush settled over the crowd, the kind that precedes a moment of profound revelation. A flicker of movement caught Mary's eye as the light pulsing at the far end of the square grew brighter, and she could almost see the shimmer of glimmering ethereal forms swirling within it. Gasps of awe chorused through the villagers. They began to lean closer, drawn to the brilliance like moths to a flame. "Let us kneel." The priestess' commanding voice heralded the change. With an instinctive grace, the villagers sank to their knees, forming a circle around that radiant light. Mary felt the cool earth beneath her kneeling form, a grounding presence amidst the otherworldly energy coursing around her. As she knelt, Mary found herself whispering fervent prayers, words tumbling from her lips like a waterfall in urgent, intimate conversation with God. "Show us your wonders," she implored. "Heal us, Lord. Restore our village. Lift our fears and fill our hearts with your joy." The light pulsed, rippling in response to her words. It sent waves of warmth shooting through her, igniting her spirit with a tingling hope she had never known. The air crackled with divine expectancy. Suddenly, a soft voice reached Mary's ears, gentle yet powerful, like the first winds of spring. "Your faith has called forth the promises, child. The heavens are open to you today." It resonated deep within her soul, filling her with indescribable peace. Around her, the villagers began to rise, hands extended towards the glowing light, eyes reflecting awe and disbelief. One by one, as they offered their needs aloud, miracles began to unfold. A woman, once burdened with sorrow, felt chains of despair break away with each loving word from her neighbor. A child, who had struggled with illness, began to laugh, his laughter a sweet melody woven through the prayers of the faithful. Mary's heart swelled with gratitude at the miraculous scenes unfolding before her. Each moment seemed like a page from a sacred book, written just for them, filled with hope and healing. Yet amidst the joy, a flicker of doubt wormed its way into her mind. Could it really be true? Were these the answers to their collective longings? Then, as if in answer to her unspoken fears, the divine light swirled closer, and a figure emerged, a brilliant being whose eyes sparkled with compassion and love. The villagers gasped, awestruck by the presence of such holiness. "What do you seek?" The angelic figure spoke, a voice like cascading water. Mary, overwhelmed, felt a rush of emotion. "We seek healing for our hearts, our homes, our village, for our lives." The figure smiled, radiating peace as they took a step closer to her. "The healing you desire is already within you, but it requires your trust and your boldness. Are you ready to embrace the unknown?" As the crowd held their breath, and Mary's heart raced, she realized this moment was a crossroads. How much was she willing to surrender in order to receive the fullness of God's grace? What would she choose? The path of comfort, or the leap into the uncharted? With eyes fixed on the shimmering light, Mary began to understand that sometimes, to step into the miraculous, you had to step out of the familiar. What revelations would uncover if faith were taken one step further? The air thickened with anticipation as every eye turned to the luminescent figure. Its gaze seemed to pierce the veil of doubt surrounding Mary's heart. She could feel the beating of her own heart, pounding like a drum, urging her to respond. The words trust and boldness echoed within her soul, mingling with the hopes shared by the villagers. "Embrace the unknown," Mary murmured, almost to herself. She glanced at the villagers, their faces illuminated by wonder and expectation. This was not just her decision, it was a collective leap into faith. Could they all take that step together? Slowly, she raised her hands towards the shimmering being, feeling the warmth radiating from within her spread through her fingers. The villagers mirrored her actions, and their collective heartbeat resonated like a chorus of hope echoing against the walls of the heavens. "We are ready," Mary declared, her voice ringing clear in the tense stillness. The ethereal figure smiled broader, its luminescence reflecting the determination in their hearts. "Then let it be so," it replied, a soft rumble of assurance lacing each word as it lifted a hand toward the sky. The light exploded outward like a burst of sunlight breaking through the clouds, cascading over the villagers like a warm embrace. Instantly, they felt a shift, a swirl of emotions washing over them. The burdens they had carried all this time began to dissolve, replaced by a sense of freedom they hadn't anticipated. Old Mr. Walter let out a joyous laugh, tears sparkling in his eyes, while others clasped their hands over their hearts, feeling the healing energy envelop them. Mary felt herself lifted, not physically off the ground, but spiritually soaring above the worries of daily life. Each whisper of prayer formed a colorful tapestry that ascended into the endless sky, each thread representing the unity of their faith. The light showered down upon them, and as it did, they were filled with dreams long forsaken, believed lost in the fight against despair. Moments transformed into an eternity, as time itself seemed to lose its grip in the divine atmosphere. Vision after vision danced before Mary, hints of life's possibilities rooted in abundance and love, like whispers of what could be. Among these moments, she began to see her village not as it was, but as it could be, a majestic haven of faith, hope, and community. As the brilliance of the divine light ebbed, the angelic figure spoke once more, this time with a resonance that filled the very fabric of the air around them. "You have ignited the spark of miracles within. Thus far you've walked by faith, now ignite it into action. Attend to your loved ones, comfort the weary. Be conduits of love and healing, and watch the ripple spread." The villagers were aglow with purpose and excitement. They would not waste this gift. They would become the hands and feet of the healing they had so desperately sought. "Let us share these wonders we have received," a voice shouted from the back. Cheers erupted, echoing through the square, sweeping like a wave of devotion. Mary smiled at the fire igniting within each heart, her own flickering brightly. They stood together, united in purpose, ready to embrace the unfolding journey, but as they exchanged glances, a sudden thought pierced Mary's mind. Beyond the miracles and the healings, what kind of challenges would arise? Would their faith stand strong in trials ahead? As she pondered, the air thickened once more. The light shimmered faintly, holding secrets of the journey yet to come. what trials might test their newfound resolve. The villagers buzzed with excitement, hearts and eyes alight with purpose. Mary felt their energy surge, it flowed like a river, wrapping around each person, binding them as one. Conversations erupted, voices rising like the chorus of birds at dawn. Each word shared was a thread of connection, weaving a stronger tapestry of faith within their community, but as joy blossomed, the weight of unknowing loomed in the back of Mary's mind. Her heart thumped with the echo of the luminescent figure's command. Ignited into action, the words transformed into a question: how would they begin? "Let us start with our neighbors," suggested young Clara, her voice ringing with conviction. "The Thompsons have struggled, their crops failed last season." Murmurs of agreement spread like wildfire, sparking a collaborative spirit among them. One after the other, villagers began calling out examples of who needed help. They spoke of the elderly, the sick, the lonely. Each name whispered bore weight, a reminder of their shared duty. Mary's heart soared and dropped simultaneously, the task ahead felt monumental. How could they truly bring healing to their community? And who would bear the burden when they stumbled? Questions swirled like autumn leaves caught in the wind. Yet amidst uncertainty, a glow of determination flickered within her. "Let us organize ourselves," someone shouted above the noise, silencing the crowd. Heads turned, eager to listen. "We'll come together, a day at a time, to visit each household, bring food, share stories, and offer our hands in service. Let us pray together as we go." Utilities paused, laborers clasped hands, and smiles rose like sunbeams. Mary could see it, a movement igniting right before her eyes. Each villager became a peddler of hope, eager to extend love into every corner of their world. There was a beauty in unison, a harmony rippling through the air as they planned together, visions of hands reaching out and healing flooding their minds. However, beneath this bubbling excitement, shadows of doubt lurked. As the sun dipped closer to the horizon, a whisper of worry weaved its way into Mary's heart. Could they, mere villagers, truly bring change in a world laden with struggle? Would their efforts withstand the trials that lay ahead? Just then, a gentle breeze swept through the square, the scent of blooming jasmine following in its wake. It seemed almost like an answer, a promise from the heavens. The luminescent figure flashed to mind, a reminder of strength beyond their own. "With God, all things are possible," she breathed out, filling the air around them as if the very essence of encouragement had taken form. "We will come together. This is just the beginning." Mary rallied, a renewed sense of purpose flooding her veins. Suddenly, everyone erupted in spontaneous applause, echoing their shared commitment to the journey ahead, fueled by faith and courage. Yet, as jubilance settled like a blanket of warmth, Mary couldn't shake the feeling that they were only at the start of something much bigger than they could comprehend. She glanced at the fading light, a hazy glow casting long shadows across the village square. What unforeseen challenges awaited them in the heart of their mission? Would their faith be enough to conquer the darkness threatening their resolve? The air thickened, pregnant with potential, leaving a sacred silence in its wake. What storms could loom on the horizon? The meeting in the village square dissolved into a chorus of chatter as villagers paired off, their spirits buoyed by the idea of helping one another. Mary watched them, her heart swelling with pride and admiration. Despite the uncertainties, she felt something extraordinary was beginning to take root. As the sun dipped lower, painting the sky with hues of orange and purple, Mary felt a stirring within her. It was not just excitement, but a call, a whisper that beckoned her to take the first step. "Tomorrow, we will visit the Thompsons," she declared, her voice rising above the gentle murmur. "Let us gather what we can to ease their burden. They need us now." The crowd responded with nods and murmurs of agreement. Clara rushed to Mary's side, her bright eyes filled with eagerness. "I'll bring some vegetables from my garden. They could use a feast." Others began echoing similar offers, and soon a list was formed, each item a seed of compassion planted for their neighbors. But as their hopeful plans ignited, a fleeting shadow crossed Mary's heart. What if their efforts weren't enough? What if their combined strength faltered when faced with the harsh realities outside their village? She tightened her grip around the small pendant hanging at her neck, remnants of her mother's faith. She whispered a prayer, hoping for clarity and strength. That night, sleep eluded her. The stars twinkled in the dark sky like distant lanterns, each one a reminder of divine watchfulness. As she lay awake, thoughts of her neighbors brought her both joy and trepidation. Would the Thompsons truly feel the embrace of their support? Would others join in their cause, or would they tire and turn away? Each thought was a wave, rolling into her heart. That in the stillness of the night, a soft rustle cascaded through the window, accompanied by the fragrance of blooming lavender. With it, a sense of peace washed over Mary. All will be well, she reassured herself. This is his work. She recalled the luminescent figure, that blazing courage rekindled within her. It was a light that would not dim. The morning dawned with a golden hue, awakening the village in gentle warmth. Mary rose early, her spirit renewed. As the sun stretched its rays, she felt a surge of hope. Today was not merely a day of visiting the Thompsons, it was a day of revealing unity, a living testament of their faith in action. Gathering the villagers felt like reassembling a family. Laughter and chatter filled the air as they shared stories, their hearts joining in a rhythm of purpose. One by one, they packed baskets overflowing with produce, cherished items, and notes of encouragement. The sense of camaraderie deepened with each item shared, each moment spent together. But just as they prepared to depart, a storm cloud gathered on the horizon. Dark and ominous, it loomed over them, casting a pall over their hopeful mission. Mary's heart sank. Why now, when they had finally found their resolve? Perhaps it's a test, whispered an older villager, as everyone turned to look at the brewing storm. To see if our strength can withstand what comes our way. A deep silence enveloped the crowd. Doubt crept into their minds, but amid the gathering storm, Mary felt something rise within her, an undeniable strength. She stepped forward, her voice steady, "We will not be deterred. A dark sky cannot dim our light. Together, we rise." There was a palpable shift. Rest assured, as they began to walk, a sense of unity drowned out fear. But in the back of Mary's mind, questions loomed. Would they indeed be able to combat nature's fury? Would their fervent faith protect them from the winds of despair? As they marched forward, the first rumble of thunder rolled in the distance. What would the storm reveal about their strength? The first drops of rain began to fall, soft at first, like the gentle spatter of hope touching their fears. The villagers huddled together, their resolve thickening like a fortress in the face of uncertainty. Mary gazed up at the darkening sky, her heart pounding but her spirit unwavering. Even the storm must answer to him, she whispered to herself, clinging to every word of truth she had ever known. As the rain intensified, it became a symphony of sound, drumming against rooftops and turning dirt paths into rivulets of mud. But within that storm, Mary heard something else, a stirring within her soul, a reminder. Today was not just about the Thompsons' burden, it was about their collective faith, their unity in action. This was a moment when purpose would shine brighter than any storm that threatened to overshadow it. With each step, the villagers drew closer, forming a protective circle of compassion. They pressed forward against the wind that seemed to whip fiercely, but they felt buoyed by their mission. Faces illuminated by rain-soaked determination, they shouted encouragements to one another, a chorus of strength rising like a fiery banner. "Look!" someone suddenly called out. Through the curtain of rain, a flicker of light broke through the clouds. A rainbow, vivid against the dark backdrop, arched high above, an emblem of hope. Mary's breath caught in her throat. The sight moved her so deeply that tears mingled with the rain on her cheeks. "See how the Lord answers even now," she said, and her voice burst forth with a fervor that swept through the group. "He fulfills his promises. We carry more than just baskets today, we carry his light." The villagers echoed her words, rallying around the image of that vibrant arch. It represented their faith, the promise of brighter days, even after downpours. In unison, they stepped into the storm, their laughter mingling with the raindrops. They were not merely facing adversity, they were transcending it. The journey to the Thompsons' home was a sight to behold. With every farm they passed, they could see loved ones peeking through windows, eyes wide with curiosity, witnessing the bravery of their neighbors. The electric air was palpable, charged with the energy of faith in movement. Mary recognized this. It was a sacred moment where truth breathed life. Arriving at the Thompsons, the sight was heartbreaking. The house was barely standing, a fierce gust had ripped parts of the roof away. But the spirit of the Thompsons was still intact. They awaited them at the door, weary yet hopeful. "Look what we've brought," Mary called, lifting her basket with a wide smile. The openness in her voice invited the Thompsons to be part of this community tapestry woven with threads of love and generosity. Just as Mary stepped forward to embrace Mrs. Thompson, a loud clap of thunder resonated in the distance, as if the heavens applauded their courage. With every rustle of the wind, Mary felt reassurance wash over her. Doubts that clung to the corners of her heart began to dissolve. God was present. He was with them, urging them to move forward in unison, to help, to love, to be the hands and feet of grace. Yet, in the midst of their mission, a sudden gust blew viciously, and a chilling dread filled the air. Mary felt it claw at her resolve, a reality that perhaps, despite their best efforts, they might not find shelter from the storm. Are we truly prepared for what lies ahead? She wondered, glancing back at the darkening clouds swirling above. A tremor sliced through her optimism. Would they overcome what remained unseen, and would their unity be enough to combat the impending trials? As she searched the faces of her fellow villagers, she found determination reflected back. And yet, the question lingered, what would the next turn of this storm reveal about the depths of their courage and faith? Mary took a deep breath, feeling the wet air fill her lungs as she faced the Thompsons' battered home. The storm raged around them, yet within that chaos, she sensed a quiet strength building. The villagers, standing shoulder to shoulder, shared a silent agreement. Their mission was not merely to provide material support but to uplift souls, steadfast in the love they offered. Mrs. Thompson stepped closer, her eyes glistening with gratitude. "Thank you, all of you," she said, her voice barely rising above the wind. "We were afraid this storm would take everything. But seeing you here, it brings such peace. It's not just us, it's the Lord who guides us." Mary felt the words rise up within her, powerful and true. She turned to the others, and in that moment, their shared vows of faith became a palpable presence among them. As they stepped inside, the room revealed deep shadows, yet the air felt lighter. It was as if the warmth of collective hope filled every corner. Shelves that once held family keepsakes now stood empty, but the space held the promise of love rekindled. "To share is to heal," a voice piped up from the group. Thomas, a gentle man known for his quiet wisdom. "Every basket we carry isn't simply filled with goods, it's laden with our prayers, our presence in their lives." Mary nodded, feeling the truth in his words. "These items will help, yes, but more than that, we bring the hope of tomorrow." Suddenly, another rumble of thunder echoed, this time softer, as if acknowledging their mission. The wind howled outside, but Mary felt a stillness within herself that whispered, "Keep going." Together, they set to work. Each villager took turns delivering supplies, sharing stories of resilience that intertwined with laughter, as if their words were staves for the Thompsons' minds, a song of salvation amidst the storm. They filled the room with light woven from their love and shared experiences. As the hours passed, the storm outside began to subside. Miraculously, the darkest clouds started to part, allowing soft golden rays to break through. The villagers paused to marvel at the brilliant light that cascaded through the tattered roof, pouring warmth into the room. "Isn't it remarkable?" Mary gestured toward the emerging sun. "Even through the trials, he is sending us his light." The Thompsons exchanged glances, hope igniting in their hearts. While the physical restoration was needed, Mary understood that this emotional link created a foundation beneath the rubble. "Remember this hour," she said, her voice firm but soft. "Even when the storms seem insurmountable, we were meant to stand as one. Our faith binds us." "Indeed," echoed another villager. "Our faith culminates in purpose. We are his hands, his feet." The room filled with an electrifying energy as those words took root. What they had witnessed that day bound them closer even as uncertainty loomed beyond the horizon. But just when hope felt most vibrant, a sudden gust rattled through the house, pushing against their spirit. An unseen force lurked, and Mary felt a tug of trepidation unraveling within her. Had they truly weathered the worst? Then, in the gathering silence, a gentle voice whispered in her heart. What if the greatest trials reveal the deeper miracles yet to come? Was there more ahead, mysteries hidden just beyond the understanding of their faith? As Mary looked around at the faces filled with determination and unease alike, she pondered the weight of that question. What awaited them on the other side of their united front? What further challenges would test their resolve? And what unimaginable joy might rise from the ashes of uncertainty, declaring victory over despair? There was only one way to find out. The day was still unfolding, and the storm may have stilled, but the journey ahead glimmered with divine possibility. What new revelations would emerge as they pressed onward together? A veil of dawn broke over Haverly Green, the sun rising steadily from behind the hills, casting golden light upon the battered homes of the villagers. In the aftermath of the storm, the air hummed with renewed life. Amidst the debris, Mary gathered her children and neighbors at St. Andrew's Church, their sanctuary now a holy ground flushed with hope, a collective heartbeat resonating through the stones. Today is about gratitude, Mary declared, her voice ringing clear. We stand as one, a tapestry woven from trials and tribulations. Our faith has borne fruit. The villagers nodded, eyes lighting up with admiration. Heartfelt murmurs rippled through the assembly, whispers knitting a blanket of comfort, wrapping the spirit of community in faith's warm embrace. The priest stepped forward, his presence like a gentle breeze. Let us share our testimonies, he proclaimed, extending his arms as if to welcome the heavens. What we experienced through the storm was not merely survival but a divine invitation to flourish. One by one, villagers recounted their personal revelations, awash in the glow of shared experiences. I found my voice amid the tempest. A stout farmer bellowed, his cheeks flushed with joy. I felt the Lord's hand guiding me to comfort a neighbor I had long ignored. Another villager brought tears to many eyes, recounting how a child's laughter returned to her home, illuminating the darkest corners of her heart, banishing fear. As the testimonies flowed, Mary felt the weight of anxiety lift from her heart. With each prayer and story, she understood with clarity, they were no longer merely trying to endure but were urged to thrive, to be active agents of love and healing. Then, a little voice broke through. Clara, her eyes sparkling, proclaimed, let us share our gifts. Each of us has something to offer. A chorus of agreement rose as villagers leaned into the idea, declaring ways they could support one another: health checks, communal gardens, shared meals. These ideas danced through the air, infectious in their simplicity, yet profound in their implications. They were powerful, a clear manifestation that God's love was alive and unstoppable in their hearts. With the sun above shining brighter, Mary looked at her children, feeling tears of gratitude well up. We are stronger than the storms. No wind can shake us now, she shouted. The villagers echoed her, their hearts entwined in faith, powerful and alive like the very light pouring into their gathering place. Yet, as hope blossomed, an unexpected darkness loomed on the horizon. News spread that a neighboring village had struggled through the storm, suffering more extensively. The atmosphere shifted, uncertainty entwined with their newfound vigor. What can we do? Murmurs swirled around. Mary felt the familiar ripples of despair tugging at her heart. Would their resolve hold against such need? She grasped the pendant at her neck and breathed deep, inviting peace to wash over her. We can't forget the miracles we've experienced, she reminded those around her. We are called to be the light for others. God has equipped us. Renewed resolve surged through the crowd as they rallied for those who needed help. Together, they gathered whatever they could spare: blankets, food, words of encouragement. On the way to the neighboring village, the air thickened with a sense of purpose, and each step felt like a heartfelt prayer. Upon arrival, they were met with somber faces and broken homes. Mary's heart ached as she witnessed countless families standing together yet feeling so alone. She stepped forward, lifted her head, and called out, "We are here to help." As burdens were shared and stories exchanged, an atmosphere of unity emerged. The villagers from both sides embraced each other, hands clasping tightly as if forming an unbreakable chain. Reflections of divine compassion shone through amidst the struggles they faced. They were not alone, not now, not ever. In a sacred circle that day, they prayed fervently for healing, for the strength to rise from the ashes together. Hearts beat in unison like the drums of ancient promises, declaring their unyielding faith. The sun danced above, Mary felt a stirring of divine magic, the atmosphere alive with hope. As dusk fell, they worked side by side, walls were rebuilt, laughter mingled with tears. True healing began. They crafted a pipeline of love that would stretch beyond their village, intertwining lives and hearts like vines in the garden of faith. In the stillness of that evening, Mary observed her children forming friendships with those they had just met, and the elders sharing wisdom honed through divine journeys. She smiled, warmth flooding her spirit. They had surrendered to the call, and in that moment, true miracles were manifesting all around them. With soft words, she turned to the villagers, their faces illuminated by the last rays of the sun. "This is only the beginning. Together we can ignite fires of hope and healing throughout every corner of this land. We are called to be light and love, to be God's hands and feet, wherever we go." Hearts surged within the group, a chorus of agreement rising to the heavens. They had tasted the sweetness of faith, shared in overcoming adversity, and now, they were forged anew an unwavering community, armed not just with hope but with courage and love that stood resilient against any tempest. United, they ventured forth, ready to embrace every challenge, every storm. And as the stars blanketed the sky, Mary felt a deep peace settle within her, knowing that they were no longer alone. They had found their family, their church, the heart of God alive in Haverly Green. Subscribe to the channel now to embark on more faith-filled journeys. Don't miss out on these exclusive stories. Hit that bell and choose all notifications. Like this video to boost inspiration. Each click feeds the algorithm of hope. Share your thoughts in the comments below. We want to hear your testimonies and prayers, and send this video to at least 5 friends who need to experience this divine manifestation. You need to spread the light around you. Don't wait even one more second.